Right now at 5, a looming deadline to move out. We're going to talk to people in one of San Jose's largest encampments, now running out of time. And it's been 5 years since a fire sparked by lightning destroyed hundreds of homes in the Santa Cruz Mountains and sent people running for safety.
I locked my chickens in the pen and I left. Little did I know that was the last I'd ever see of my home.
Some are now rebuilding with help from an army of volunteers. And it's a modern-day movement on wheels. We take you to a historic Oakland park where skating is fostering community. And they're answering the call of the wild right here at home. Meet the Bay Area volunteers restoring habitats for generations to come.
By helping them thrive, we build community, we build relationships with the landscape, and that is an incredibly powerful thing that we need to take into the future.
CBS News Bay Area Evening Edition with Ryan Yamamoto.
Within the last hour, President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin appeared together in public together after wrapping up a brief summit in Alaska. This is a live look at the Russian leader's plane getting ready to leave the tarmac. President Trump's goal today was a ceasefire in Ukraine more than 3 years after the Russian invasion. But as reporter Willie James Inman explains, while President Trump touted progress, the details of their talks remain unclear.
With a warm handshake, President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin began their high-stakes meeting in Alaska Friday. Hours later, the two leaders emerged from discussions that could shape the future of war-torn Ukraine.
We really made some great progress today. We didn't get there, but we have a very good chance of getting there.
The meeting marks the first time since Putin has been in the U.S. since 2015, when he attended the United Nations General Assembly in New York.
It will be very severe.
On Air Force One before landing in Alaska, President Trump warned of severe economic consequences if Russia does not move towards peace.
I want to see a ceasefire. This is not to do with Europe. Europe's not telling me what to do.
European countries are concerned Putin is not serious about peace talks with Russia's continued assaults on Ukraine.
President Trump, he's got to guard against making concessions to Putin that are going to alienate our European allies.
Protesters are in Alaska voicing their concerns.
It's not okay to do business with fascists, and the invasion of Ukraine should be punishable by sanctions, which we have to stick to.
Trump had said if things go well today, a second summit with Ukraine and Russia is possible.
And President Trump said he had not yet spoken to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, but that would happen soon. And coming up at 5:30, we'll get reaction to today's meeting from a former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. Right here in the Bay Area, people living in San Jose's largest encampment, they have been told they have less than 72 hours to get out. We're talking about Columbus Park right next to the airport, but many of the people who live there tell us they don't have any other place to go. Lauren Tom spoke to them about why they feel they have no good options.
This is my family. This park is my family.
Kat Davis called herself the mayor of Columbus Park. She's lived here in this van for the better part of 6.5 years and says she, along with the estimated 300 to 400 residents living here, are terrified about looming sweeps.
I represent the whole park. I have senior, disabled. I have elderly. I have people that are partially blind.
San Jose plans to begin the process of clearing the park on Monday, partnering with nonprofit Home First. The city has offered residents $2,000 to buy back their RVs, but Kat's van doesn't qualify. The city calls it a tent. She was able to find housing not through the city, but through the federal Section 8 housing program. She'll move into a temporary hotel room soon until the 4-person unit is ready.
It's horrible living in a van. My husband was paralyzed from the waist down, so I had to get him in and out of the van.
Kat says about 60% of residents here do have a place to go come Monday, but the rest, she said, never had the chance to apply for help because they were working long hours and missed the window.
The Russian people, they ran out of applications. Thanks to me, I did all the work on getting my family out here to go get signed up for the hotel program, and they ran out. And it's like, they told people at 10:30, sign people up to get the paper It's like at 3:30, they're like, we're done. That's like, oh, why?
Mayor Matt Mahan and other city leaders declined to comment Friday, but earlier in the week, the mayor told reporters the move is necessary to restore the park back to the public.
We don't use the word sweep because we're not sweeping people away. We're offering people housing, shelter, safe places to go, and we will be very methodical about that.
Still, he admits the city doesn't have enough beds for everyone.
The truth is, citywide, we do not have enough shelter beds for every person on our streets. And so depending on how that encampment grows over the next few weeks, we may or may not be able to meet that goal.
Homeless advocate Sean Cartwright says the plan is moving forward without input from the community.
Anger, frustration, sadness, definitely a sense that the city just doesn't give a damn about people.
Advocates this week disrupted a city council meeting, calling a stop to the abatement.
Tony, we'll take a recess.
And for Kat, the move is bittersweet. She's relieved for a place to go, but heartbroken for her family. She says no one chooses this life, and until everyone in the neighborhood has a home, she won't stop fighting.
Until all my people are housed, I'm gonna fight for Columbus Park. Just like these are my people. I'm going to fight till the end.
And the city expects the clearing of Columbus Park to take a few months. It's all part of a $24 million renovation plan that'll include soccer fields, pickleball courts, and a play area. The city is expected to speak more about the clearing of the encampments on Monday. In the meantime, a recent report from the San Jose Spotlight found that Santa Clara County has one shelter bed for every 3 homeless people living in the county. Across town, local leaders announced a new strategy to revitalize East San Jose. Councilmember Peter Ortiz says the area has been under-resourced and overlooked for too long. Now he's proposing a plan focused on beautifying neighborhoods, investing in infrastructure and public safety, and supporting small businesses, art, and culture.
East San Jose, this is our time. Not to be pushed aside, but to rise up. Not to be ignored, but to lead. Let's build a district that reflects our culture, our resilience, and our hope for the future.
Ortiz is also urging the city to develop a policy waiving fees for small businesses in their first year. It's similar to San Francisco's Vagrant to Vibrant fee waiver program with the goal of filling vacant storefronts. Ortiz also announced plans to create an East San Jose revitalization task force to keep the effort in the hands of the community. Okay, taking a live look at Golden Gate Park, where Grammy winner Zach Bryan will be taking the stage later tonight. A lot of people going through the gates right there. Those doors opened at 1, with the first act starting at 3. The 7-hour concert will also feature the band Kings of Leon. Our chopper was over some of the last-minute preparations. Today's event caps off what has been a busy month of concerts that started with Dead & Company and continued with Outside Lands last weekend. We talked to one fan who was in line at 8 this morning, all to see Zach Bryan.
I'm a recovering alcoholic. I like Zach Bryan because he saved my life, to be honest. I was homeless, struggling with addiction, and really big heartbreak. And he helped me pull through with his music and the inspirational lyrics behind them.
From country to soul, fans lined up to get the last tickets to see Diana Ross at Stern Grove on Sunday. Janine wanted Diana Ross tickets so bad she camped out overnight at the box office.
I love Diana Ross. She's one of my favorite singers. I remember when I was a kid, my sisters were like 7 years older than me, and they used to listen to the Supremes. And they used to do the whole act of the, stop in the name of love, and we used to be in the background.
This is Stern Grove's big picnic weekend. Damian and Stephen Marley are also playing this weekend. They are playing tomorrow. Hey, we're less than 24 hours until the 49ers take on their former Bay Area rival, Raiders, right here in Las Vegas. Vern Glenn joins us live from Sin City. And Vern, not a bad weekend getaway for Niner fans.
Ryan, let me tell you, a weekend in Sin City, I like that kind of assignment. We're outside of Allegiant Stadium, where the 49ers will take on the Raiders tomorrow, a 1 o'clock kick right here on KPIX. As for the game, the burning question is 49er quarterback Brock Purdy going to play?
I'd like Brock to play. We'll see how, I haven't decided anything for sure yet. We'll watch this tape, but, I planned on getting these starters going.
So if all goes according to plan, the Brock star will get his first game action of the season, at least for a few drives. And you can feel the excitement here in Vegas. I ran into a pair of father-sons from the Bay Area here for the game. Safe to say, the Niners-Raiders rivalry is alive and well.
Why the 49ers?
I kind of live in the Bay Area. My dad's also a Niners fan, and
Yeah, I can see that.
yeah, and also, just Niners are just better. So.
And you?
Nope, he's wrong. But I just started being a Raiders fan because my dad was a Raiders fan, and ever since they moved to Vegas, it's been pretty darn cool to just go there to watch some games and have fun.
You know that those boys are ready for kickoff tomorrow. Hey, that will do it from here in Vegas. Stand by because 7:30, another edition of the Red and Gold Report. That just to get you ready for the game.
All right, Vern, reporting live from Sin City, and a little tip, always bet on black. Coming up a little later, we introduce you to an inspiring young Raiders fan from Northern California, how his community came together to make his dream come true in celebration of his successful battle against cancer.
We got Junior in the house. He's going to his first game ever. Oh, nice, thank you.
Plus, this weekend marks 5 years since the lightning storms that sparked a series of massive wildfires across much of the Bay Area.
Little did I know that was the last I'd ever see of my home. It's been a very emotional and expensive journey.
We'll meet the survivors who are still struggling to get back on their feet and show you how a new program is hoping to help them.
And coming up in the forecast, there is actually a lot of rain coming to the West Coast over the next few days. A cold front from that will sweep through the Bay. We're not getting rain out of it, but there is a cold front coming here on Sunday. It's going to feel so much cooler this weekend than the day you just had, especially by Sunday. I'll show you how the temperatures are about to take a bit of a drop. Forecast on that is coming up next.
Well, today marks 5 years since the start of a dry lightning storm that sparked hundreds of wildfires all across California. Altogether, those fires destroyed more than 10,000 structures and killed 31 people. One of the massive fires, the SCU Lightning Complex fire, that burned about 620 square miles, nearly the size of Houston. It destroyed more than 200 buildings across an area that included Santa Clara, Alameda, and Contra Costa counties. One day after those fires erupted, lightning sparked another series of fires in the Santa Cruz Mountains. For many people in that area, it's been a frustrating 5 years as they try to get back on their feet. Five years ago, a series of dry lightning strikes lit up the Santa Cruz Mountains, starting one of the most devastating fires ever to hit the area. The CZU Lightning Complex fires burning more than 86,000 acres and destroying nearly 1,500 structures, many of them homes. The fire forcing thousands of people to evacuate, including Tanya Weekland.
I remember the ashes in the air. I locked my chickens in the pen and I left. Little did I know that was the last I'd ever see of my home. We got a robo call to evacuate around 10 o'clock at night. There was no going back to collect belongings.
For Tanya and others, the road to recovery hasn't just been long, it's been lonely.
Through a lot of it, it feels like I've been, pretty alone and fighting through a lot of this. It's been a very emotional and expensive journey. Mostly it was, I'm determined to rebuild. I feel so attached to that beautiful piece of land. That piece of property has been in my family for decades. It was my mother's home before it was mine. The only reason I would have sold is because I wasn't going to be able to rebuild, but the long-term recovery grid made it possible.
That's the sound of second chances. Tanya isn't building the house alone. She is surrounded by volunteers from the long-term recovery group and Habitat for Humanity.
Right now we're in the framing process. As you can see, we have all our volunteers over there.
A few years in, we realized that the
Rebuilding process was slower than what we would have liked. We knew there was a lot of people in our community that were or underinsured that wouldn't be able to build because of the cost of building. We really wanted to create a volunteer rebuild program.
And that's exactly what they've done. Small teams, usually 4 to 8 volunteers per day.
5 years in, it can feel really daunting, especially if you haven't even started yet, to even imagine that you're going to get there if you have insufficient funds to hire a general contractor and do it on your own. We are here to offer that hope.
And crews say every home being built through the program is designed with the next fire in mind. And Sunday will also mark 5 years since the start of the third major fire complex. This one in the North Bay. The LNU complex fires killed 6 people and caused widespread devastations across Solano, Napa, and Sonoma counties. And a 3-acre grass fire burned dangerously close to homes in East San Jose. You can see the burn scar. Look at that. Right there on the side of the hillside near Rica Vista Way. The fire broke out just before noon. San Jose firefighters were able to stop forward progress about 45 minutes later. Luckily, no homes or buildings were damaged. And crews were also able to stop the spread of another brush fire in Solano County. It burned about 167 acres near Lake Herman Road in Cordelia. Cal Fire says the fire is 30% contained, and crews now working to strengthen containment lines and put out those hot spots. So let's bring in Darren right now. And today, probably one of the warmer days we're going to see this week, but maybe a bit of a cool down.
Cool down for the next 3 days. It might be hotter than today by the second half of next week. We're going to warm back up again. But before we get there, fall. The first cold front of the season is coming our way. Now, meteorological fall begins on September 1st, so we're still several weeks away from that. But take a look up here at the satellite image. See what this is up here? This is live satellite imagery from the last 3 hours. This is a cold front that is spilling out of the Gulf of Alaska. It is not supposed to look like this in August. Let's get that wide view on here so we can kind of see how this is spread out across the Pacific. All these mottled clouds back here, the polka dot looking ones, that shows you cold air that is about to filter into the Pacific Northwest, and it is going to bring rain. Look at the rain from this over the next 3 days. They're going to get several inches up there. But the cold front will fall apart. You see it? Falls apart as it gets down here. It will get down here on Sunday. Sunday, daytime highs for inland locations here in the Bay will struggle to make it all the way up to the upper 70s. It's going to be noticeably cooler by the time we get there. Let's take a look at how this will play out here at home. I don't have rain in the forecast from that cold front, but just on a technicality, kind of cool to know there will be a cold front coming through in the pre-dawn hours on Sunday. If you look at the daytime highs for today, first of all, this was kind of the top until we get to Thursday and Friday of next week. We won't be this warm again until second half of next week. So this was today. Keep your eye on the Bay as a whole now, from up above it, on a wider view. And let's go ahead through the progression on this. I'm going to show you what it looks like on the color contours for tomorrow, and you're going to notice a change. Cooler. But Sunday's going to be even cooler than that. Sunday will be the coolest day of the weekend, but Saturday, you're already going to notice the change. You'll be 5 to 7 degrees cooler already by tomorrow. For many warmer spots, like inland East Bay communities and North Bay valleys, your numbers will also take a bit of a dip, and that cooling trend will then continue from here going into Sunday before we start rebounding by the time we get towards next week. Going to see the marine layer come back too. We didn't have any of that today. The marine layer was absent. I mean, it's sitting out there now. We are seeing a little bit of it trying to creep in over the hills, but you don't see any in the Bay. And if we take it forward from here and watch what happens on the depiction of that, let's bring it through tonight, because it will fill in much of the Bay tonight, and you'll see it contour to the interior of the Bay and get over into the Tri-Valley as well. We're going to wake up to gray skies tomorrow, but it won't last. It won't last if you're inland. I think it's probable in the city, you may not clear much at all from this tomorrow. This is going to be one of those scenarios where the clouds are going to be able to hang on. So you're going to go from a day like today, where it's beautifully sunny, and tomorrow, not only will we wake up to gray skies in the morning, but you may not clear at all if you're in the city, and certainly not near the coast. And that, of course, is the setup for then Sunday's takeover of the marine layer, and Sunday being the coolest day. And let's get into the 7-day forecast. I'll show you what that will look like, because I think the thing that'll stand out the most is in that 7-day for our inland microclimates. I mean, some of those numbers aren't getting out of the upper 70s on Sunday. This is inland, upper 70s. Then you're going to warm back up next week. So here's what we were talking about by the middle of next week. It's probably going to be just as sunny and warm as it was today. So this first cold front of fall, and if you want to think about it that way, and I think you legitimately can actually, like all of the very first ones to break through, very short-lived, very weak, but this one will be noticeable in terms of the cool down. It'll get a bit breezy, and then we still very much have a lot of summer to go. It doesn't mean fall starting. It just means the first little emissary coming down from the Gulf of Alaska is going to break through on Sunday. It's going to be out of here real fast, and we certainly have many warm to hot days to go before real fall starts settling in. I'll see you with more on this coming up in the next half hour. Ryan, back to you.
All right, thanks, Darren. Well, up next, we're going to take you to Oakland, where roller skating events are highlighting the legacy of the Black Panthers.
Black people were kept out of a lot of recreational spaces, and that included the roller skating rinks.
We'll meet the people behind a unique idea that's now catching on all across the country. Plus, the city of Santa Cruz has reopened of a well-known stretch of coastline after 2 years of work. We're going to talk to residents who say it is a sign of a larger fight on the horizon.
The bigger question is like, okay, is there a strategy that we can create or focus on which limits the impact or limits the damage?
Well, San Francisco is making some improvements to the new park along Ocean Beach. Sunset Dunes will soon be getting new signs and clear zones to help make it safer for pedestrians and cyclists sharing that space. Earlier this summer, a woman walking on the former Great Highway was injured by a cyclist. Residents call for better signage for lanes separating walkers and cyclists. Park officials say they plan to create a park zone on the west side of that median that will be used for picnics, yoga classes, and walking, and a multi-use zone on the east side that will be used for bikers, runners, and scooters. Well, new skating events led by the Black community are rolling out all across the country, from Atlanta and D.C. to Chicago and L.A. It's a trend that began right here in the Bay Area in Oakland. On Thursday evenings, people gather for a roller jam at the Little Bobby Hutton Park in West Oakland, named after the first member of the Black Panther Party. Once a hub for social movements, the park still brings people together, only now on wheels.
Black people were kept out of a lot of recreational spaces, and that included the roller skating rinks. So in order to accommodate us in some way, they started to have a soul disco night.
Oh, and the skates are free too, but ask Roddy Joyder, and he'll tell you the real payoff is priceless.
It doesn't matter who we are, what we look like. We just really need to come together and keep doing stuff like this.
And again, this happens every Thursday, starting with Beginner Hour at 6 p.m. Up next, we're going to speak with a former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine about today's high-stakes summit between President Trump and Vladimir Putin, how the meeting could impact the war more than 3 years after the Russian invasion in Ukraine. Whilst the 2-year effort to rebuild West Cliff Drive in Santa Cruz is finally complete.
The Pacific will always win. That's the bottom line.
Why residents say the work, though, is far from over. And going to meet the volunteers buzzing around the Presidio, restoring habitats and enhancing the area's biodiversity.
Some of these plants are endangered, and then the animals too. Some animals might come out.
Right now at 5:30, President Trump holding a joint news conference with Russian President Vladimir Putin just in the last couple of hours. The two leaders greeted each other on the tarmac at a military base in Anchorage, Alaska. This is a live look at Air Force One about 10 minutes ago. That this marks the first time Putin has been in the U.S. since 2015 for the UN General Assembly in New York. President Trump's goal today, a ceasefire in Russia's war with Ukraine.
I believe we had a very productive meeting. There were many, many points that we agreed on, most of them, I would say, a couple of big ones that we haven't quite gotten there, but we've made some headway. So there's no deal until there's a deal.
And joining us live right now is Stephen Pfeiffer, a former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine. So, Stephen, what were your initial thoughts after watching Trump and Putin meet today?
Yes, well, first of all, meetings between leaders don't usually conclude like this, particularly with just a 12-minute press conference. Now, we don't know what still has to be agreed. Both leaders suggested that there was progress, but they hadn't got there, and that's going to be continued to be under discussion. And I guess the good news is, Mr. Trump didn't give away the store. Some, including myself, were concerned that he might get into bargaining on details about Ukraine without the Ukrainians there that could be to Ukraine's detriment. However, it seems fairly clear at this point that Mr. Trump failed in his stated goal, which was to achieve a ceasefire between Russia and Ukraine.
And so President Trump also said he's now going to reach out to NATO and Volodymyr Zelensky. What are those conversations going to be like?
Well, this turns on really what is the issue that still has to be discussed between the United States and Russia. It sounds to me like Mr. Trump wants to consult with the Ukrainians and the Europeans before he gets back to Putin. But it still suggests here that there's potentially a fairly difficult issue which could prevent this thing from coming together.
And going back to the meeting itself, what is the significance of this meeting happening on U.S. soil?
Well, I'd say the significance for Vladimir Putin is that the meeting happened in the first place. Bear in mind that since Russia launched its major invasion of Ukraine back in 2022, there's been a boycott by Western leaders of any kind of face-to-face meeting with Putin. And Trump hosted him in Alaska. He broke that boycott. That is being played up in Moscow as a huge victory, that, it's as if Putin has now been legitimized again. And based on what we've heard, he didn't make any real concessions. In his press conference, he said, we still have to address the root causes. That's a Russian term, which means that there have to be significant changes, not only in Ukraine, but also in NATO Europe. So I'm not sure he gave away anything, and he still got away without any kind of penalty from Mr. Trump, who's been threatening, for some months to apply severe consequences.
So those talks have not stopped Russia's offensive. In fact, a Russian missile strike killed at least one civilian in Ukraine just hours before the meeting. So what are your expectations for how the conflict will play out if a peace agreement is not reached?
If a peace agreement is not reached, and at this point, I have to say I am pessimistic about this, because thus far, we have seen no sign that Moscow is prepared to compromise its demands in any way. Those demands have actually gotten even more difficult for Ukraine over the last 3.5 years. And so at this point, I think Putin still thinks he can win on the battlefield. However, the Ukrainians have shown themselves, I think, valiant as fighters. They fought Russia off for 3.5 years. Yes, Ukraine now has about 19% of its territory occupied by Russia. But remember, back in 2022, initially the Russians occupied 27 to 30% of Ukraine. So I think what you're going to see if this war continues is this kind of grinding fight. Russia might make a bit more progress, but it doesn't seem to be that the Russians have the capability to make a significant breakthrough.
And I understand you just got back from Ukraine yourself. So how are people there feeling after 3 years under this siege?
Yeah, well, I was actually there in May. And what I would say is I think Ukrainians, at least the Ukrainians I talked to, they give you this impression, one, they're worried of the war. You can understand why. I mean, when I was there between midnight and 7 a.m. one night, 3 air raids on Kyiv. And each time, Ukrainians have to decide, do I stay in my apartment? Do I pack up the family and go down to the bomb shelter? But I think Ukrainians, they're weary of the war. They would like a ceasefire. They would like a peace settlement, but they're not prepared to give away the store to achieve that. And they're not prepared to capitulate, and they look at Russian demands as basically capitulation. And so if it comes down to it, I think the Ukrainians will fight on.
Okay, Stephen Pfeiffer, former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, always great to get your thoughts. Thank you very much for joining us. Well, back here in the Bay Area, an iconic stretch of Santa Cruz is once again open after being closed for more than 2 years. Right now, the city is holding an official celebration for the reopening of the West Cliff Drive. That road was severely damaged during the storms in January of 2023. And as our Devin Feely reports, the rebuilding is a step forward in what will be a long battle against Mother Nature.
We needed to restore West Cliff to its original state.
It's easy to see why so much energy and effort and expense has gone into protecting this stretch of California's coast.
It's an iconic part of our coastline. Tourists come here to see it. We use it for our own thoroughfare. It's where we have access to the ocean.
Al Ramadan is a champion of Westcliff Drive, but he's also a realist, acknowledging that its reopening is not so much a victory as a stalemate, a temporary truce between Mother Nature and the man-made world.
The Pacific will always win. That's the bottom line. The bigger question is like, okay, is there a strategy that we can create or focus on which limits the impact or limits the damage?
This is what Westcliff looked like 2 years ago, after a January storm in 2023 clawed out a chunk of the coast and the road that sat atop it, threatening nearby homes.
If we do nothing, we will have nothing. So I think what the city did was the logical thing.
The city of Santa Cruz spent roughly $30 million repairing and rebuilding the seawall that protects Westcliff Drive. Climate scientist Gary Grigg says he understands the city's decision, but harbors no illusion that it somehow represents a decisive victory.
There's absolutely nothing we can do in the long run to hold back the Pacific Ocean. And it depends on what we call the long run. Anything we do is a Band-Aid. And Westcliff was an expensive Band-Aid that I think is going to last for 20 years, maybe.
The city of Santa Cruz is not alone in its debate over how much should be done, how much should be spent to protect its coastline. Al would like to see something built offshore, a man-made reef to weaken storms before they reach the coast.
I don't think it's as black and white as saying like, okay, it cost $30 million, we should or shouldn't do it. The reality is this is a very, very, very vital part of our community and our ecosystem, and we have to preserve it. And we just need to find ways to do it. And I think there are ways to do that without being crazy expensive.
But even as the community celebrates the reopening of Westcliff, there is still the sobering reality that the threat is not gone. The clock merely reset on the tides of a battle pitting a warming planet, rising seas, and worsening storms against this beloved but embattled stretch of coast.
And still ahead, life-size animal puppets traveling the world to highlight the growing threat to all the species that call our planet home.
Even though we might not see those puppets here, we are seeing the act.
We're going to meet the people fighting habitat loss right here in our own backyard. Lost a Northern California boy now happy and healthy after overcoming bone cancer. Al's neighbors came together to give the entire family a special gift to celebrate.
Came off chemotherapy and I heard they had not been to a game, so I kind of took the lead on let's get him and the family to a game.
Well, an amazing 4-month journey to involve life-size animal puppets has just wrapped up. The goal is to raise awareness of the warming planet and habitat loss. Our very own Ann Makvik shows us the call to action is already growing right here in our own backyard.
An unusual herd of wild animals, all puppets made out of recycled material, recently trekked across Africa and Europe by boat, over bridges, and on land. From the Congo Basin to deep within the Arctic Circle, the public art project called The Herds has a goal: to inspire humans to take action against climate change.
And cover it
on a much quieter level, with hands in the dirt,
allowing it to be what it's meant to be and what it's naturally supposed to be.
That same purpose continues to grow in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Even though we might not see those puppets here, we are seeing the act, which is partly an artistic act, of bringing back these landscapes that are beautiful and that inspire people to act.
Lou Stringer is the Associate Director of Natural Resources at the Presidio, a national park situated in an urban area. His team is responsible for restoring habitats and enhancing biodiversity.
Biodiversity is really important because it enables us to be resilient to changes like fires, changes like floods, changes in the climate.
So far, the Presidio is buzzing with success.
We've been doing this almost 30 years now, that you can change, humans can have incredible positive impact.
At the Presidio, ecologists and volunteers have restored about 100 acres of native sand dunes.
Some of these plants are like endangered, and then the animals too. like some animals might come back.
The Presidio is now home to several species of butterflies, rare bees, coyotes, chorus frogs, as well as a rare native plant known as the San Francisco lozenge.
It's a species that only grows here in San Francisco in the old sand dunes.
At the Presidio, a record number of volunteers are taking action to keep native habitats healthy.
By helping them thrive, we build community, we build relationships with the landscape, and that is an incredibly powerful thing that we need to take into the future.
Whether it's a trek that's crossing 2 continents or planting native species in our own backyard, it's all about answering the call of the wild.
All right, thanks, Ann. 49ers off to Sin City as they get ready for the Silver and Black in preseason game number 2. One of the players hoping to prove something in that game is Sebastian Valdez, an undrafted free agent who has turned some heads a week ago. I go in depth with the Niner hopeful.
All right, we got an interesting change coming over the weekend. Today was so warm and sunny out there. Temperatures climbed back into the 90s. It was brief, and we're about to get a cool down from the first good-looking little cold front here to come out of the Gulf of Alaska of the season. This is live satellite, and you can clearly see a pattern on here. The clouds in front of me here show you the shape and the form of a cold front. The clouds back here show you where the cool air is, because the clouds kind of have that speckled format to them. This is where the cold air is. Here's where the cold front is. We'll put the rain into this. This actually is an atmospheric river. It's going to deliver a couple of inches of rain to the Pacific Northwest, but watch what happens to that cold front. As it starts coming our way, it falls apart. We're not going to get rain from this, obviously, but we are going to get a cold front. Sunday morning, it's going to come through the bay, and Sunday's going to be the coolest day in the whole 7-day forecast. You'll see what that looks like when we get there in 1 second. I'll put the numbers in there. And inland microclimates, by the time we get to Sunday, may not be getting out of the upper 70s. Now, that's not too dramatic. We've been doing a lot of that this summer. But you were in the low to mid 90s today. In fact, if you take a look at today's daytime highs, let's just do the comparison on here. And some of the representative spots, look at the numbers over here. So today, we did make it up to the low 90s in places like Concord and Livermore. Santa Rosa, your number's pretty warm one. And San Jose as well had a relatively nice day, but you're all about to cool down. San Francisco in the upper 60s. Let me show you tomorrow. Watch the color contours change from where they are today to Saturday. We're going to get cooler. And when you look at Saturday's daytime highs, this is already cooler. We're starting the cooling trend tomorrow, but the numbers are going to bottom out on Sunday. They'll go down about another 5 or 6 degrees from where they are here, and then Sunday will be the bottom. That's pretty much where we're going to round the numbers out in the mid and upper 70s from many of those locations. We're going to see the marine layer build back in again tomorrow morning. We didn't have that today. Woke up with clear skies, Bay Area wide. Tomorrow morning at 7 a.m., we're going to see the clouds fill in for most of the bay. And it's going to have some persistence to it. Most of us will get sunshine, but not everybody. Likely not going to clear out the clouds for the city most of the day tomorrow. So it'll be one of those afternoons where you stay relatively marine layery, anywhere near the coast, certainly, but I think also through the Golden Gate and maybe the immediate bay. You never really clear a whole lot to go along with the cool down, and that cool down is just subtle in a few degrees. All right, let's see how it looks in a 7-day forecast. We'll start out with that inland microclimate. Watch the temperatures for Sunday, bottom out in the upper 70s, and then just start rebounding. Slowly at first, but by the second half of next week, now you're right back up into the mid-upper 90s for daytime highs for some of those warmer inland valleys. And when we look at this on here for the bay, we'll see a similar trend. Temperatures are going to bottom out for Sunday and then slowly start rebounding. So we are kind of thinking of this, and you kind of see the line in the clouds up there. This is the first little cold front of fall that's going to be coming in, and it does have an atmospheric river with it. And this is the first kind of system like that of fall, meteorological fall, starting on September 1st. We're not there yet, obviously, but we are in the middle of August. So just kind of take note of that on Sunday. We'll have plenty of more warm-ups after that, Devin. It's not like we're just going straight into fall from here, but here's the first little glimpse.
Love the fact that it's cooling off a little bit this weekend. And coming up at 6 o'clock, 3 major concerts in 3 weekends at Golden Gate Park. And tonight is the grand finale. We're going to hear from neighbors who are looking forward to clear streets and quiet nights. Plus, San Francisco students about to head back to class. Why one local mom says she's optimistic about the school year as the district deals with layoffs and cuts and state oversight. And a new national monument that is decades in the making is finally opening along the Santa Cruz County coast. And they have quite the creative way to deal with the livestock that roam that land. The news at 6 is coming up in about 10 minutes. Now let's head to Met Lively for a look at sports.
KPIX Sports is powered by Kia. Learn more at kia.com. Kia, movement that inspires.
The Niners continue the preseason tomorrow at 1 p.m. against the Raiders. You can watch that game right here on KPIX. San Francisco may have found a hidden gem in undrafted free agent Sebastian Valdez. He is strong, he is full of rage, and those are two qualities you want in a defensive lineman, which has earned him a superhero nickname.
Hulk smash!
How did you get the nickname the Hulk?
I think Pooney in a team meeting, and I think the offensive lineman just gave me that name throughout camp, and it's sticking through, so that's a nice name. I'll take it.
He has lived up to the superhero's moniker after notching 4 tackles and a half sack in the Niners' first preseason game.
Yeah, I think he flashed the most today, just noticing him out there.
Oh, it's a great feeling when you see your teammates and your coach support you and see the type of player you can be and who you are.
Valdez entered training camp with an uphill battle to make the 53-man roster. He didn't get an invite to the NFL Combine after his senior year at Washington and went undrafted.
Obviously, that's an opportunity I wish I had, but again, nothing's impossible, and I'm still super grateful for my journey, and everything's earned, not given.
When the Niners came calling, he liked their scheme and had studied up their successful defenses of old.
When you look at that 2019 season, you see Armstead, you see Buckner, those guys playing interior, they're just beasts, man. The way they play, with their intensity, their effort to the ball, you watch that on tape and you're like, how can I do that? So that's definitely what drew me to this team.
One member from that 2019 defense is now his teammate, Nick Bosa.
Bosa gives me some nuggets here and there, and practicing with him out there, it's surreal.
Valdez has learned from some of the greats, including Bill Belichick, whose son Steven was the defensive coordinator at Washington. Do you have any great Bill Belichick story?
One time during practice, he pulled me to the side and just started screaming at me like, "Oh, you got to do this, this, and that." And I'm just blank right now. I'm just staring at Coach Bill. No way he's yelling at me. So it was a good time. Something I won't forget.
Week 1 is in Washington, back where you played your senior year of college. What would it mean for you to be on this 53-man roster?
Man, it'd be a dream come true. It'd be an awesome experience for me and my family, and it'd be nice.
The Valkyries are riding a 3-game win streak all the way to Chicago, where they're taking on the Sky right now, up 11. We'll have the full recap of the game tonight on The Late Show. They've been playing so well recently that they want to keep this roster together. That includes veteran reserve Kyla Charles, who was signed to a third 7-day roster hardship contract earlier today. And I asked Natalie Nakase earlier this week why they originally brought in Charles, and her answer was simple. She said she kicked our bleep, which was in reference to a game against the Dallas Wings when Charles was with Dallas. And so as soon as they needed a player and she was available, that was the first name she called.
Can't beat them, join them.
That's correct.
All right, thanks, Matt.
Thanks, John.
Well, no matter the outcome of tomorrow's Niners-Raiders game, one young Raiders fan from the Northern California is already a big winner. How his community stepped up to make sure he can see his heroes in person after a battle with bone cancer.
Junior and Mom are gone. We got some more tickets. Dad and all the other kids are going too.
Is so far your best birthday, or what do you think?
Yeah.
Well, a 12-year-old cancer survivor's big wish is coming true. This weekend, he gets to watch his favorite football team in person for the first time ever. Esteban Reynoso is in Stockton, where the community came together to give his entire family a special gift.
Stockton's Raider community coming out to celebrate one of their youngest.
Who do we got? We got Junior in the house. He's going to his first game ever.
12-year-old Junior Aguilar, surrounded by the silver and black at Michael's Pizza in Stockton.
Uh-oh, wait. Where's your helmet at? Get you ready, brother. Bam, he's ready to go. Yeah.
Gearing up for a trip to Vegas to cheer on his favorite team, celebrating his recent birthday.
Is so far your best birthday, or what do you think?
Yeah.
And cheering on a big win off the field. Junior is now a cancer survivor.
Oh, nice. Thank you.
Just under a year ago, he was diagnosed with osteosarcoma, a type of bone cancer.
I think it made us even closer, just to because it hit us hard.
Jessica Barquette is his mom.
To finally be over and have it be done, it's a blessing.
Andy Coronado and his team set all of this up, calling on the Raiders and also using the Raider bus here behind me, where they're going to go to Allegiant Stadium for Junior's first ever Raiders game. And it wasn't only a surprise for him to go to his first Raiders game, but also for the entire family.
The surprise is Junior and Mom are gone. We got some more tickets. Dad and all the other kids are going too. All right, brother? Yeah, let's go. Yeah, man.
I met him about 4 months ago at a celebration when he came off chemotherapy, and I heard they had not been to a game, so I kind of took the lead on let's get him and the family to a game.
I mean, anything a mom can ask for, especially one with a lot of kids who aren't able to do this for their kids, and for them to be able to do this for us, we're excited. Definitely a memory to remember forever, for sure.
Just gonna get the tickets and just spending time with my family.
Go Raiders, congratulations to Junior there. That's it for the news at 5.